So the Legacy Amnesty campaign, Christine, I wonder if we could just start off talking about how this campaign came to fruition and what it's about and why it's important in the bigger picture here, really.
Yeah. So my company started in the legacy market and we transitioned to the formal market or the legal market. And there were so many things that we didn't know in 2017 when 2016 was when it was passed for adult use in California. And, we just didn't know any better. And so we waited very patiently, to have the regulations come out and to see what we could do once the regulations came out. And one of the things that we've learned in the last 5 years is that there was no pathway for us to come into the legal market. There was nothing we could do. Anything that we had made previously in the legacy market, we couldn't utilize that as our financials. We couldn't show that our brand had traction, like all of those things that a normal company would be able to do. And then when we also noticed that in the regulations really did not help legacy folks move into the formal market. So that's why we see this huge disparity between the numbers in the legal market and the numbers in the legacy market, right? $20 billion in 2020 in the legal market was sold. $60 billion in the informal market was sold, right? Why is that? Well, because we didn't bring in our legacy operators into the formal market. And I met Vlad in 2018. And I was so honored to meet him, but also amazed at how much they had done in terms of their own brand, how much they had done without having access to formal markets, right? There's so many people in a lot of different states that have either a similar momentum or still have brand recognition, and there's no way for them to enter the formal market. There's no way to make sure that if I come to you and fill out an application and say I'm in the formal market, I'm in the legacy market, that we don't have the threat of being taxed for stuff coming out of the legacy market. We don't go to jail because of the legacy market. And so one of the things that you just talked about is how do we make sure that in the legal market there's not pathways to prison still being effectuated, even though now it's legal. And I think that Vlad hit upon that with the Section 8 housing or the housing projects. These are all places where you could go, another prison pipeline could be developed there if we don't do these things right now to ensure. So this hasn't been done anywhere. And the reason that the legacy amnesty is so important to me is that we know what could happen if we don't say something now. Like we didn't say it in California, right? We didn't say that. And so seeing New York coming online and New York literally being the gold standard that every other state, including states that are currently legal, are going to look to, we're hoping that the legacy amnesty becomes something that people are really talking about, especially as we get into federal legalization, right? Because we are going to continue to create prison pipelines if we don't bring these communities and these operators with us. And why wouldn't we, right? Why would we not do that? What is the argument against that? There is no argument against that unless you really just want to say, we want to make sure Black and brown people and legacy people don't enter the market so that it's specifically earmarked for white corporate America. And so legal amnesty for legacy operators is critical at this time. It was critical 10 years ago, but we didn't know it was going to be this critical.